there guys, this is Malorian and this will be another Warcaster review. And what we do in these here is that we take a Warcaster and we're going to be talking about its stats, its abilities, then its tricks, and some of the units they like to take. And today we're talking about Sorsha 1. This is the one that comes with the starter battle group box and is actually a pretty powerful caster as well that you see in normal tournament play as well. So a very good one to cover whether you're a new player or if you're more on the competitive side. So it's a good one for both. So to start off with, she is a Khador caster. She is Focus 6, so that's not too bad. She is Speed 6, Strength 6, Mat 6, Rat 5, Defense 16, but we'll be adding a little bit there too. Armor 14, Command 9. So, okay, all good. She's immunity to cold. And she has a hand cannon that she has as a weapon, and as well a weapon called Frostfang. Now Frostfang has a P+S 13 with reach, so you know it's an okay weapon. Reach is nice, and 13's in that alright range. But it's when we get to some of these other parts of it that really starts going to adding up here. So first of all, Frostfang has critical freeze. So on a critical hit, the model hit becomes stationary, unless it has immunity cold. So this one is good. You know, again, you don't want to be really hoping on crits, but then again, she has a lot of other things that'll kind of add to that anyway. First of all is going to be her feat. So what her feat does, it says enemy models currently in Sorsha's control area and line of sight, and that's a very big one, become stationary for 1 round unless again they have immunity to cold. Now this is a big difference from Krios. When you're playing Krios and it says everything in my control area is knocked down, it's very simple. You just sweep across your control area and all that stuff is knocked down. Sorsha has to also see you, and that's a massive, massive difference. I've seen a lot of new players, you know, they're behind their front lines, they pop feet, and you're like, well, you probably don't want to do that because currently your own guys are blocking all your line of sight and you're going to be doing nothing with this. So that's not very good. Clearly, the best way you want to use this feat is find a hill. If you have a hill that you can stand up on so you can see over a lot of the regular small base models like her, that really helps. Otherwise, she normally has to charge up and get really far forward so that she can really be the one in the front of the army so that she can see everything. And even then, you have to kind of worry about things like, okay, this is the front line here, so I can't really see the models behind. Maybe I have to get my Widowmakers to try and kill off a few of those models first so they can open up some lines. That whole line of sight thing can be a big deal, even on for the death clock idea. I mean, the whole thing where you're having to check all these line of sights and stuff, it can take a few extra minutes off your clock, which could be the difference of winning or losing. So know that this is a very powerful feat. You might assume from what I'm saying right there that, oh, well, Krios just has a better feat. Well, stationary is pretty damn good. I mean, with knockdown from Krios, you can just say, oh, this unit here is just going to forfeit movement or action, and they'll just get back up, and they'll do whatever the other one is. Well, you can't do that with stationary. If you're a unit, you are just stationary, and that's it. So against units, Sorsha can just lock them down for an entire turn, and that can be massive. First of all, I mean, making them stationary means that they're easy to kill, but even just the board control idea where these things are all frozen, and unless you want to kill your own guys, not only are you not advancing or forward with these guys, they're also blocking the rest of your army. So very, very powerful, and just something you have to play around with and get good with that line of sight portion. So that's why I really want to stress that, because it's a very big part of what she needs to do. Now let's get to her spells here. First of all, she has Boundless Charge. This is a range 6, cost 2, and what this let it do is that the target friendly model, so this can be a Jack, this can be a regular model, whatever, can charge without spending focus or being forced and gains +2 movement and Pathfinder when it charges. So this spell here can be good for her if she wants to charge up somewhere. Of course, it's great on Jacks. Khador Jacks are renowned for being slow. It's not units, so I mean, if you want to do it to some models in a unit, you can always just try spamming it, but it's going to be really corner case in that part there. Usually this is cast on her or on a Jack, or if you have something that's going to be really need to get a little bit deeper. Like, oh, if I just get, Boundless Charge on this one pikeman, then I can get it onto Iris way over there. Something like that. But, still a very nice thing to have, especially with a Pathfinder portion as well. She also has Fog of War, so what this one says is a cost 3, it's done in herself, the ranges are in whole control, and what it does is a models gain concealment while in this model's control area. Now, a big thing to remember about Fog of War is it doesn't say friendly models. This will be all models. Again, an easy trap that new players fall into is they go and they pop Fog of War with the caster, then they go with their other shooters, and it's like, oh yeah, I just gave concealment to everyone on the other side. So do watch out for that. If you do have a lot of ranged parts, make sure that you are going to activate them first, then Sorsha, unless of course you're going to make it a feat turn. Because you know what? If you're stationary in Defense 5, who cares if you're getting a concealment bonus as well? So do, again, keep that in mind that you're giving it to both sides. Another part where this could really get you is, let's say there's a stalker or something with prowl. It's like, okay, everything has concealment, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just made all those guys stealth. Again, part of it to kind of look out for, because it can really bite you in the butt if you forget about it. Freeze and Grip. This is a very powerful spell that she has. It's cost 4, so it's not cheap, but what it does is it's range 8, and it says target model unit without immunity cold becomes stationary for a turn. And this can be two things, but normally it's one and the other. I mean, you could put it as like an assassination thing. If you've already popped your feet, or if you just want to be trying to kill off a jack or something, or a beast, hey, just stationary on that one model, and then great, everything attacks it, it dies. Or, you know how we talked about that whole thing where you can use the feet to kind of freeze a unit and block everything behind? Hey, Freeze and Grip will do that. So, yeah, that is a very awesome one to do. It's like, hey, that unit is now stationary. Again, I can just focus fire on it and kill it if I wish, or I can just leave it stationary and have it be in the way for my opponent. So, a very, very good and annoying spell to have. Like I said, it's a very big part of her thing, and it's only range 8, so she has to be way up there. But, again, there will be a way to fix this later. She also has Razor Wind, so this one is a cost 2, range 10, and it just does basically a POW 12. It's just a little, magic missile thing that she does, which is sure nice to have. You gotta kind of shoot like a Feral Geist or something. Why not? She also has Tempest, and what this one does here is it's cost 4 again, range 8, AoE 4, and it says models hit by Tempest are knocked down and suffer a POW 12 damage roll. So in a caster that really seems to be all about stationary, if you ever run up against something that is immune to cold, so none of this stuff works, this is a nice backup to have that says, oh, okay, you're immune to cold, so all my stuff doesn't work. Okay, boom, you're knocked down. So it is a nice little backup here to have, and it's not something you're going to be casting very often, but again, just keep that in your back pocket, where if that does come up and you're up against whatever, Veil 2, it's like, damn it, she's immune to cold, knock her down with a Tempest or something like that. So, again, nice toolbox. Final one on the card, and this is going to be another major one. This one, and again, Freeze and Grip are the two biggest spells for her. Now, this one is Wind Rush. It costs 2 and is self, and it says this model can immediately make a full advance and gains +2 defense for 1 round. You can only cast this once per turn. Now, this is amazing. First of all, not only does it give you a extra movement bonus, but it also raises your defense. We said like, okay, defense 16, that's all right. You know what's even better than defense 16? Defense 18. And she can cast this every turn if she wants, and her defense gets up to pretty high and insane. Plus, remember how we said you'll have to be farther up to cast her feet or to cast that Freeze and Grip. This is how you get back. So you're going to charge up there, you are going to be casting your either the Freeze and Grip or popping your feet, and then boom, you're going to cast a spell and move back, and not only did you get yourself back in your lines, but you also raise your defense too. So it's an awesome, awesome spell. Now, with this, we also have to keep in mind her pretty big assassination threat. So if you think about it, she can cast Wind Rush, which will move her up 6 inches. Then she could always charge, and she could always put Boundless Charge on herself. Why not? So I'll add +2 to her charge movement so that she charges another 11. So 11 plus 6 is 17. She has reach, so 19. So she threats 19 inches. And when she gets there, she can pop feet. All of a sudden you're stationary, and all these things are hitting. And again, POW 13s aren't really the most dangerous thing, but for casters who really depend on their defense, when all of a sudden they're stationary and these things are auto-hitting, yeah, this is a pretty big deal. So something to definitely look out for. And I mean, a lot of times you don't even need the Boundless Charge. That's just the more extreme. But yeah, that assassination of hers is pretty big. Plus, you can always use it just to get to problem areas, right? If you have an Iris 2 that's flanking around and giving you some problems, hey, I'm just going to zip over there and kill her, and then great, the rest of the force can do their thing as well. So again, this is something that you should always be keeping in mind with her, that she can really get out there and really get to things. And again, it can always be the opposite. She charges out, swings on some things, and then just Wind Rush back. And she's just safe. It's kind of like Sprint on a stick that also raises your defense and doesn't mean that you need to kill anything. So it's a really awesome spell. So there's her stats and abilities and a couple of little tricks, but how are you actually going to build this Sorsha list? Well, one of the things you want to be having in here is Silas. Now, what Silas will let you do is make it so that you are going to get a boost on trying to hit off that freeze and grip. Again, you don't want to really boost to hit. You know, if your Focus 6 is okay, but you really like to get that Arcane Secrets from good old Silas so that you don't need a boost, so that you still have those 2 focus to back away after. Plus for your 1 upkeep if you want to, he'd be keeping that up for free, so that way you're not needing to do Fog of War all the time, although normally I find a lot of times you're doing it 1 turn, popping feet, attacking, and you don't really need it anymore. But another thing she'll like as well is that she likes to have Reinhold, because when things are frozen, Rat 5 doesn't matter, so boom, I shoot something, and I'm also reloaded, so I shoot something else. She can get a lot of work just out of her gun as well. And then with that in mind too, she likes a lot of models that can take advantage of this whole low defense thing that's going on the other side, and that really comes down to guns. You know, you want to get up there. It's kind of like Krios. Hey, all this stuff is knocked down, everybody else have fun. It's the same thing here with stationary. And so one of the lists that's out there right now, that's one of the more competitive ones, is, I mean, there's different names for it, but I mean Oceans 13 or whatever, and it's really just Sorsha and then a whole bunch of guns, like a whole bunch of solos with all the shots you can, and the whole idea is just to get up there, pop feet, and shoot everything down. And so things like Ayan and Holt are nice, where they can add a little bit of extra damage with harm, and then also shoot as well. You know, anything that has multiple shots is great. Things that also work out is Crow's Cutthroats. Normally their low rat is kind of a real problem. Well, you know when they can hit? When the things are stationary. So that's a really big deal. Of course, if you want to take anything like, say, your Nis Hunters, or really just anything with a gun, she really likes that. Now, it doesn't mean you have to run her as a gun line. I think she's perfectly well as a melee caster as well. If you think of a combat army, I mean, you still always want to take some shooting. Again, Widowmakers are great if you ever need to open up some holes so that your feet can get in deeper and stationary more things. But let's assume that you want to go more with a melee army with a lot of pikemen and stuff like this. Well, that also works, because either you can use it to rush up and freeze so that you can line up all your charges with your pikemen, or all the pikemen can go and charge in if you can get the Alpha Strike. Then she comes up, freezes the second row, and they can't really do anything to retaliate, and then you charge in again. So there are different ways that she can be played. Of course, you can always mix those and take a little bit of shooting and a little bit of melee. Probably one of the ways you don't want to go with her is going with a lot of jacks. But hey, I mean, you can always do something janky too and take like a whole bunch of destroyers, stationary the target, and then blast it apart. So, I mean, really because of that stationary, it's almost like Denny 1, where it's like, hey, she can just turd polish anything she wants, because no matter what you take, it's going to be hitting unless you roll double ones. So there you go. That's Sorsha 1. Again, very important whether you're a new player or an experienced player. And, she's a lot of fun. She's really interesting. She has a lot of different abilities. And I think you'll like her, although you might not like facing against her. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Bye.